Hey, what's up, guys? I thought I'd just come on here and give you my thoughts and my experiences cold approaching. So, for those that aren't exactly sure what cold approaching is, it's essentially just conversing with a woman that you've never met before. Ideally, usually you approach a woman out in public somewhere, grocery store, a mall, whatever, and engage with them with the intent of getting their number or something, in the realms of dating. And I've been cold approaching a good amount of women in the past couple weeks or so. So I wanted to come on here and kind of tell you my experience with that. So one thing that I've noticed that is kind of a phenomenon with me is I attract, certain demographics. Like bigger women, women that are, I guess, of lower dating market value. I obviously get those, and they're pretty overt with it. They're pretty direct. But yeah, I'm looking for certain criteria. I'm looking for not just very beautiful physically, but more or less she needs to be beautiful, but it's more about, is she able to be susceptible to leadership? Can she take lead? Because a man needs to first lead himself. That's the only way a man can lead a woman. And I find women are only fulfilled, romantically speaking, when she can take leadership from her man. Because if she's in charge, if she feels like the only way she can be safe emotionally is for her to be driving, figuratively speaking, that basically is the quickest way to get rid of attraction. If you're not in control, her attraction is going to plummet, like I said. Let me fix the camera. But yeah. So I find that I'm looking for a certain, demographic. But so I do get indicators of interest from beautiful women, but especially young women. For whatever reason, I'll get indicators from women as young as 16 to up, essentially. So I had these two younger women approach me when I was at a grocery store, and they got right up next to me, really close to me. And, they looked suspiciously like on the border of being 18 or not. So I'm like, well, let me find out. So I was like, hey girls, how you doing? And, they were acting all giggly. And yeah, I asked them, are they in school? They said yeah. And I asked their age. One of them was a little hesitant. Then she said, I'm 16. And I was like, oh, okay. Bye. And then, I left. So situations like that, it's ideal because I'm having them come to me, and it's a very higher success rate rather than just straight up approaching a person that has never even made eye contact, gave you no cues of interest. Not not very good in terms of results. So, but a phenomenon that's been happening with me is, I've been having a lot of indicators from women that are young, and I would like to avoid obviously any underage women. I don't even want preferably anybody under the age of 22. But I'm not gonna, automatically reject you if you're 19 or 20 if you have certain personality traits that I'm looking for. But nonetheless, I've just been having a situation where women that are on the edge of 18, anywhere from 16 to 19, giving me a lot of indicators lately. And, I would prefer to just read their minds and just know if they're under 18, but sometimes you just can't tell. So I just ask. But yeah, it was just that one time where they happened to be, underage. But yeah, so there is this, what's another experience? Well, it just happened to me recently. Well, today, while I was on break for work, I just went to the mall real quick, and I'll do rounds. So I'll go to the mall and I'll, basically see if there's anybody of interest that I want to approach. So there was these two girls. I was eating. They came around. One of them made eye contact. So, I gave her the little heads up thing with the, with the little smirk. And she kept on looking. And I was like, okay. Duly noted. That was an indicator. So they came back around, and I felt her staring at me. Then they went to a store, like, right next door. So that kind of told me she wants me to go in there. Because the point is that people don't want to get rejected. So if you can cue to women, or if women can cue to men that they're interested, and you make these subtle steps forward, it can make both parties more comfortable engaging, because there is a less likelihood of rejection to occur, because you're basically saying wink wink, like, I want to talk. So I went inside, and how this store is formatted, it's straight up women's side, men's side. It has its own section. So I was about to go into the men's section, and then I turn and I just kind of look in their, their general vicinity, not trying to make eye contact, just looking peripheral to see if they can see me, and almost like, like peacocking. And once I saw them see me, I went back to what I was doing, kind of saying, hey, if you're interested, I've came into the store, now come to me. So they did. They came up to me, so I turned to them and I said, hey girls. And I was already looking at like a piece of clothing, so they're about to walk by as I say hi. So I'm thinking, okay, like I'll turn while like looking at the piece of clothing. So by the time they loop around, we can re-engage. But once they looped around, they just kept walking. So I suppose I didn't give enough of an indication that I want to talk, or she's a bit too insecure to engage without in an overt like, hey, talk to me, or maybe it's on my part. Maybe I should have straight from that that point introduced myself, I suppose. So nonetheless, it's a good experience. But yeah, that's another situation I've had. Yeah, I had a woman come up to me when I was at the 4th of July event here in town, in downtown. There's little tents up, and people selling stuff, whatever. And there was a church group that were handing out pamphlets and, trying to bring everybody to Jesus and talking about their church and stuff. And I like to debate. I like to study various subjects, especially psychology, specifically Jungian analytical psychology. Helps me predict people's behavior. It's almost like having a superpower. I can literally predict what people are going to do, but nonetheless, I like to study religion too. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to debate with the pastor. I enjoy doing that. So, because I know a lot of Christians believe in the Holy Trinity, and I would consider myself Christian, but there's certain dogmas, certain doctrines that don't make sense. And if something doesn't make rational, logical sense to you, and you force yourself to submit to it, that's how you fracture your psyche. And when you fracture your psyche, you basically wreck your ability to discern. Because the more things you accept that don't make sense, the less your judgment becomes accurate. So it's actually quite dangerous to not question things that don't make sense. Very, very vital part of any person's life. But anyways, so I was debating with the pastor. Noticed that there was this young lady, probably like 25, maybe 28, and made a mental note. After I was done, he invited me to the church. Nice to meet you. Then when I went to a food truck to get food, next thing I knew, that young lady I was talking about teleported behind me and was obviously trying to give an indicator she was interested, wanted me to talk to her, so I talked to her. And she was like, you're going to attend the church? I'm like, I'm thinking about it. Because there's 2 services, one on Wednesday, one on Sunday. So I work Wednesday, so I can only go Sunday. So I've gone 2 weeks out of the 3 weeks that it's been since, I met those people. And 2 of the times that I went, she wasn't there. So that was kind of unfortunate, but nonetheless, it was a good time. I met some of the guys there, and we had a a little arm wrestling match, and that was good. I enjoy arm wrestling, as you can see, and taught the guys a couple things. One of the guys there is actually really good, and he showed me some pointers. I would say he even knows more about arm wrestling than I do, and so that was good. And he did beat me, but that was after I went through 4 people with multiple rounds that I went with each one in both arms. Because I'd say I've never actually arm wrestled anybody that actually knows what they're doing or like competes. So it's usually just, Joe Schmoes. But again, weight has a large impact on how strong you are and how tall you are with your leverages of your arm and stuff. And I'm a shorter guy, I'm not very heavy, but like the past 40 guys I've arm wrestled, I've beat all of them. I almost created my own word. I almost beated them. And so this guy, he beat me, but he even said, like, you're not fresh, so I'm not going to count it. But the next time we see each other, we're going to go at it completely fresh. So that's exciting. I haven't had anybody beat me in a very long time. And that's even guys that have like 50, 60, even 100 pounds on me. Because, technique is pretty important in arm wrestling. But if you know what you're doing, then size completely matters, your weight matters, your strength matters. But if you know what you're doing and they don't, they're basically a sitting duck. But yeah, so hopefully I see her one of those days. But nonetheless, I just keep on going, keep approaching different women. Yeah, I've been going out to bars lately. Even though I don't drink, I hate going to bars because, yeah, it's just not good quality of women that go there or just people in general. And yeah, a couple last times it's just been, yeah, just kind of a letdown. The quality is just not there. And a lot of women that are there are just, they, yeah, they just don't know how to act. But yeah, I wanted to come on here and share a couple experiences with you guys. I've had a couple more experiences, but they're not as notable. Well, actually, I mean, I might as well share them while I'm here, right? So, let me think. So, one of them was, yeah, I kind of broke the rule of the whole, like, I'll only approach if they give me indicators because this was in the beginning. So, I just needed to get exposed. Like, I just needed to, like, get rejected, whatever happens, just to get a couple in, to break myself in before I start, being picky and only approaching women that are giving me indicators of interest. So there was this one girl, she was walking dogs in a mall. So apparently she was a dog trainer, and I noticed that. And I like to train dogs as well, an amateur dog trainer. And so that piqued my interest. So I went straight up to her. She was sitting on the bench and talked for like 20-25 minutes. And I noticed that she was acting a little distant. She was interested in the topic, but I could tell she was, the attraction wasn't there, which was fine. But this is my first approach, so I'm just like, I just need to get rejected. Even though I'm not even feeling her like that, I'm just gonna ask for a number, just say no so I can leave. And so I asked for her number, and she's like, well, how's that gonna work if I'm a lesbian? And I was like, oh, interesting. So I was just genuinely curious. I was like, when were you, when did you figure out you were a lesbian? And she was like 10 or something. And I was like, okay. I didn't say anything. I just like nodded my head. And then out of nowhere, she like got defensive, and she's like, straight couples are like the same as gay couples. So right there, she was trying to impose herself. So my masculinity kicked in, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to challenge her just out of debating principles. So I'm like, well, if that's true, why is it that lesbian couples have a dramatically higher rate of domestic abuse than straight or man-on-man relationships? And she just looked at me dumbfounded and was like, well, that's not my experience. I'm like, well, I understand that might not be your experience, but that's a statistic. I mean, I'm not in your living room. I'm not a peeping Tom. Kind of, it reminds me of what Theo Vaughn said. He's like talking about like being a peeping Tom. He's like, I'll watch your whole family eat dinner. And I said that as a joke, and she laughed. And I noticed that, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm basically done. Have a good one, hun. And when I looked at her, she gave me a very different look than what she was giving me before. So in pickup, there's a thing called negging. So basically, you tease the woman. It's kind of insulty, like you're not supposed to just straight out insult, but you're basically kind of teasing them, and in theory, that's supposed to ignite a level of attraction. And I did that accidentally, and it seemed to strike attraction. But I'm not interested in that, and so I just went on my way. But that was definitely an interesting experience. And then another time where I broke my rule of only initiating somebody that showed me any kind of interest was this chick that worked in the store. Went in there, uh, was making eye contact, and I gave her kind of the eyes, like I found her interesting, and yeah, she was giving me them back, and but you could just tell she was very attractive. I believe she was 18 or 19, very very attractive, and she knew it, and I was sensing that, and I didn't really like that. It was just like a turn off. So I just kind of like got the gross vibe, so I just kind of headed out of there. So there was that, and there was a couple other instances. There was a woman at a J.C. Penney or something like that, Macy's, doing like the selling the cologne, and when I saw her, I mean, almost took my breath away. She was gorgeous. So started talking to her, and she's about to show me the cologne, and this friggin' bee of a woman. It must have been her boss. She was an Asian lady. She's like, "Oh, come here, like smell it here." She like sprayed all this cologne, and she's like sticking it in my face with like anger. And in my head, I'm like, "What the hell?" And I've experienced this. I call this like the Agent Smith effect from like the Matrix, when like the agent like comes out of random people, they like transform into Agent Smith. That's what I feel like sometimes when I'm trying to talk to a beautiful woman. People get jealous and they like turn into this demon agent, and they try to like sabotage and ruin my chances. And that's what it felt like. She's finds me attractive or whatever, and she's older, right? Has no power at all in terms of dating. So, she got jealous and is acting all erratic and psychotic. And I immediately was like, I just was not having it. I'm like, "Excuse me, ma'am. I don't want you to help me. I would like for her to help me." So she ran off like a rat, and so engaged back with the young lady, and more or less, we were talking. I teased her a little bit. She was giving me the eyes, and then I inquired about like her having a boyfriend or something, and then she acted weird, and she like referred to him as him. Didn't use his name, but referred to him as him, which kind of indicated to me that she wasn't really into him that much, and she wanted to express that like, "I'm interested in you." You know what I'm saying? It's weird that she didn't use his name, so that's what made me think that she wasn't into that. But yeah, call me old fashioned or whatever. Once I hear somebody has a boyfriend or something, I just like tune out, and I just lose interest. Which is probably stupid, because she could just choose me and leave him. But it's just wary, because if a woman is willing to like cheat on you, she will probably do it with you. But I didn't give her the chance, right? Because we could have got to know one another, and she could have left him on her own accord, then gotten with me. That's appropriate. That's fine. It's only if you cheat, right? So there could have been time. So I could have given her that opportunity to kind of show me her true colors, but yeah, I'm still learning how to be like, how to know, like see opportunities like that and like pounce on them. I'm just kind of oblivious with that kind of thing. So practice will make perfect, So yep, that's it. Just thought I'd share my experiences. If you guys have any thoughts, drop it down below, and I'll see you later.